Oh, I wish there were a simpler way to stream games on Twitch off of my Nintendo DS. Yeah, what do you need?
Hey, I heard you need like a capture card.
Is this a Nintendo DS capture card? Where'd you even get one of these? Did you have to, like, kill somebody?
No, Loopy never stopped making them.
Alright, in this video we're going to be not only reshelling the Nintendo DS, but we're going to be installing this Nintendo DS capture card by Loopy. I got this originally because, oops, gotta be careful of that one. Alright, there we go. I got this originally because Loopy was no longer selling the 3DS capture card. But also it was really relatively cheap. I mean, the 3DS capture card, which he is going to be producing more of, that costs around $200. This here, after tax, came to less than, I think, $68. And that was after tax and shipping. So it's a much more economic solution if you're only going to be streaming DS games. And for the time being, that's all I'm really after. And you can see I got a junker off of eBay. It's damaged here. And aside from that, it's in pretty great shape. It still turns on. There's no black spots on the screen here or here. And there really doesn't seem to be any issues. Obviously the battery still works. Needs a little bit of cleaning, but that won't be an issue at all, because I got this off of eBay from China. I've heard some complaints about the quality of this, and it certainly doesn't feel as strong or as robust as an official Nintendo DS case, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm only going to be using this for streaming. I have a 2DS, oops, I have a 2DS and a 3DS, and I really don't have a particular need for a DS, but for streaming, it was cheap enough. I paid about 17 bucks, I think, for this, and it's in great shape. I've seen some go for more that are in worse shape. Well, aside from the broken hinge. Most of them, the hinge hasn't been broken that badly. But anyhow, let's get to it. All right, first, we have to remove this stylus cover here. I didn't even know this thing was going to come with a stylus, but take that out there. And it's supposed to be unscrewed, but they didn't use the screw here. I'm not quite sure why, because they screwed in this plate. And it does come with a bag of screws and stickers and make it look as official as possible. So let's get into it. Let's see how we can remove it. Oh, it just kind of pulls right out. Looks like we do need, oops, we need to unscrew it right here. I've got the tri-wing screwdriver. There we go. They've seen better days. We just need this size here. Let's just put that. Running out of room here. Okie dokie, we've got the cutting wheel tool here, and we have to remove this whole section right here. And we're going to line it up right about to the top of this here. It's a little shape there, so this and this will be, the whole thing will be clear. Alright, oops. Almost forgot one of the most important things when you're using a Dremel. make sure you use your safety glasses. If you don't think you need them, wear them anyway. Let me tell you, I could tell you from personal experience, it's not too good to get a chunk of plastic in your eye. Just gonna clean it up a little bit here. All right, the next step is to be cutting this little section here. There we go. Cut this out here so that this fits in there, so that this is going to basically sit in there like that, so that you can get the USB cable plugged in there. It's a USB, micro USB cable. All right, we're just going to cut that out real quick here. Okay, I don't have a router bit for the Dremel, so I am actually going to use a drill bit as a router. I've used this technique many times before. All right, that about does it. We're just going to clean it up a little bit with the knife. All right, not the most beautiful cut. A little sloppy, but that's all right. It's not going to be a perfect cut here. Okay, we're going to have to cut this little section right here as well. There we go. And we're going to take the drum tool here. I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit here. Do a little test fitting here. Okay, something I noticed with this case, I kept wondering why things weren't fitting exactly right. In an official DS case, this little L shape is facing the other way. It is a mirror image, so it's not going to sit quite right. So I have to cut a bit more this way to get things to fit right. So I'm just gonna cut a bit of that away. I might have to cut the whole thing away, but you can see here, if I try to fit it in here, it fits fairly well, but it hits right there. You see that? You gotta get that. Okay, now let's test the fit here. That's pretty snug in there. That is pretty snug. There you go. See my sloppy little hole there. Yeah. And as you can see, it's going to be good enough. They included a USB, or Loopy included a USB cable here. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty. Oh, but man, that thing feels like it's a death grip on the connector. Now the next step is going to be to fill this hole here. So that's just because we're not going to be able to use the stylus in there anymore to dock it anyway. So we're just going to fill that up with some glue. I'm going to use a bit of This is all I've got on hand is a DevCon plastic welder. I use this for all my custom action figure work. And I think the best way to do it in this one is to take some Scotch tape. I actually use Scotch branded tape. I find it really is the best. So I'm going to tape it from the outside. You can also tape it from, maybe we'll tape it from the inside here. We'll fill this little hole too while we're at it. I think it would be better to use the epoxy. You'd end up with a clear seal on that. This one is going to be opaque. I'm going to apply this with a toothpick because I don't want too much extra running off there. You can see that it's pretty well sealed. Doesn't need to be super thick. I'm going to try and clean it just a little bit so it's consistent. Just be mindful if you do use your fingers like an idiot like me. Wipe your hands afterwards, because look at that, even just a little bit, just casually doing this, I got a little bit of plastic welder there. It only takes a few minutes for it to adhere, but we're talking 4 to 5 minutes of handling time, but that's if you're gluing two parts together. Oh, got a little bit of glue on there. Dang. Is remove this screw, which I've already done. I forgot to hit record on there. And then take out the battery. You want to start there, and there's going to be a battery here. Battery here. Here. So that'll be 7 screws, 8 if you include the battery cover. There we go. Just wiggle it a little bit, and there we go. It is free. Yeah. All right, we'll just put that aside. Okie dokie. So next, the very next thing that I want to do is remove this ribbon cable so that we can disconnect the screen. Just going to lift that up a little bit here and here. Then just going to be very, very careful when you remove these. You really shouldn't use your finger, but I'm going to. Seen people use really pointy tweezers to pull these out, and I really wouldn't recommend that either. But if you're careful enough, just make sure you lift up this little trap door there, a little this little flap there. Let's see if you can catch it up and get it on the camera here. Folds down, folds up. Then we're going to move the Wi-Fi antenna. There we go. Got to move this over here. Just lifts up here. Should be able to slide the cable right out. And then you can see there's 2 more connectors under there. These ones are a little different. You actually have to slide, oops, you have to slide this part out here, and it comes out on both sides. There's a little slidey bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it probably just a little bit. We're going to get the smaller screwdriver for this one. Down here. There you go. Okay, now you can see what I did here as I pulled them out here. Oop. You can see what it looks like when this is slid all the way in versus here where it's all the way out. So we'll just pull that back out. And now that it's pulled out, these should come out almost effortlessly. They say not to use your fingers because of the oils. And I'm not really terribly worried about preserving this thing. I'm going to use it for streaming for maybe a couple years, and it'll probably get packed away for a long time after that. All right. Now the motherboard has at least 4 screws holding it down. There's one here. Sorry, there's a screw here, one here, one here, and then there's one at the back. I don't know if that's actually part of the motherboard or not. It does look like it. So we're going to be taking all those out, and we're going to put them in a different spot here. We're going to use the handle of my knife. Okay, should just be able to lift the board up. And there we go. The motherboard is freed. Okay, next, we're going to just pull this bottom screen out. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, we're gonna pry it out with the screwdriver here. There we go. Pretty much lifts out of there, but wanted to be extra careful. Now I could see that the ribbon here for the top screen is underneath this foam padding here. You can see it there. If I just yank this out, it'll take the top screen ribbon cable with it. We're gonna save these because I heard that some of the buttons don't work quite as well on the replacement cases. Okay, let's see if I can remove this. Just lifting. I'm not even underneath the cable. I'm off to the side here. Okay, I see the cable itself is adhered to the screen. Yeah, I'm just going to get sloppy here and just see if I can pull it just a little bit more. There we go. There's just a little bit of double-sided tape holding that down. Anyway, we got that removed here. There's a little bit double-sided tape that was holding down the ribbon cable there. And there we go. And now this is an optional step here. I really wanted this to be as close to perfect as possible, which is now a bit too late because I got a little bit of glue there and it damaged the cheap paint job on this. But it's barely noticeable, although it is going to drive me crazy. So in order to get this screen off, I've seen people just pull it. Well, I've only really seen one video that deals with getting this screen off, and the person just pulled it off with their fingernails. So and to put the new one on here, it's going to go like that. You can see it, like, it looks pretty close. It's a few little differences here and there, but it is mostly the same. Off the adhesive pad here, you can see it just lifting the corner, and I could see it slowly starting to come off here. Just gonna pry it off. It's coming on its own. It's actually not too bad. I just don't want to damage the screen underneath. And there we go. That was way more gentle than I thought. Okay, it's pretty much a flush mount to the side here. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Alright, we're going to put that aside here. Take out the rest of the buttons. We're going to take this now. These little cables, just going to gently release that from the screw. They had it tucked in there pretty darn good. Great way to keep the tension off of there. Okay, now before I take this off, there is a screw that's hidden under the ribbon cable. Definitely want to remove that. That's going to let this little cover pop off there. There we go. Got the Wi-Fi antenna out there. There we go. I'm going to save this little piece here too. Whoops. Looks like I broke it. Oh man. Oof. Be careful now. We'll save that. Digitizer, as far as I know, still works. We're going to save that just in case the replacement's no good. There we go. Now to get this apart here, we're going to need to pull out these little rubber bits here, 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 and here. And that should be all we need. Those 4 screws should be all we need to take this off. Okay. Now this one just uses regular Phillips head screws. No security screws on this. Just going to use my fingernails. You could use a pry tool, but I have worn out all of my pry tools. There we go. Okay. All right. There we go. So now, since we're doing a complete reshell here, not just the screen, I'm going to have to unscrew this bit here and that bit there. Broken tab there. Okay, now we need to get, we're going to leave this attached since I'm not replacing the screen. Oh, forgot all about this little bit here. You got to save this little bit. It's just going to transfer right to the new one. Seen some, you can actually pop this out. Instead of prying it, you could actually wiggle it loose. But since this is a junker case, I am just going to be really forceful. There we go. There's no saving that thing. We're just going to channel all the cables through the one spot because I see that this molding is a bit different than on the official 3DS here. You can see that this one is kind of like a little channel here, but that's not present at all on this. I'm gonna cut this bit down here, It fits, but I don't feel comfortable with where it's at. So I'll just be a little careful here. Beautiful. There we go. Put that right on there. It's pretty good test fit. I'm not going to screw it down yet because we still have to put in the little hinges here. And now we're going to be putting the hinges in. I did some test fittings. Thankfully I did, because I started to put the hinge in backwards. Now you can see here we have a short one. This is unlike the SP where both are the same size. We have two hinges here, and one is clearly shorter than the other, because there's a longer hinge here and a shorter hinge piece, and the actual mechanism goes, it corresponds. There's no tricks here. I do find that you need to have, or it's depending on how you want to have your Game Boy put together, or your DS, excuse me. This one, it's best if the hinge is turned a particular way. I have it set to closed right now. You can see that, let me see, I don't know how well you can see it here. The grooves here, there's a groove that runs around the top and the bottom here for the length, that helps to hold it in place. And then this piece here is somewhat rectangular in shape with rounded sides. You want those to be perpendicular to each other. That is to say, you want the flat side of this silver part here to be perpendicular to the groove, or the this little raised piece here. And when I took it out initially, the hinge was rotated to the open position. I don't know if you can see it now. The round piece, it's kind of slanted. It's not quite parallel, horizontal, perpendicular, whatever. It's slanted from its original position. So that is the open position, and this other position, that's the closed position. And then you can see, if you look through here, it's kind of, I don't think it's going to show up at all on camera, but there are corresponding grooves in this hinge that are going to allow for this piece to be securely slid into place. Now this plastic isn't terribly strong. There's already some stress marks just from inserting it originally. But what we're going to do here is we're going to push it through most of the way. If you are having trouble, you could take a wrench like this that has the adjustable bit there, and you can squeeze it in until it fits. And you might damage the plastic a little bit on the inside if you squeeze too hard, or the hinges being stubborn. But we're going to get these ready. You got to make sure, I should have mentioned that the silver part goes in first. See, when it goes in like that. I made the mistake the first time of installing it the other way, and that's not going to do any good. It's the same deal with this side. You're going to make sure the silver part goes in first. The hinges will only fit through here in one way, so if you don't have the little silver parts rotated the right way, you'll find out real quick. Alright, now we've got to attach this to this part here. Put that aside. There we go. We're going to attach it the right direction. There we go. Let's give it a little test fit here. Okay. There we go. Excellent. I just got to route that. Route this through here too. We could route this through at any time, really, before we're done putting it together, but maybe not any time, but we have, doesn't have to be right now, but you might as well do it all at once. All right, there we go. It just kind of just clicks into place here. It's not so bad. Little tricky, needs to go a little bit more. Okay, let's get this side here too. Yep, you can see a stress mark appearing as I push that through. That is definitely really, really tight. But there we go. Now let's see how we did. Is it going to open? Oh yeah. Okay, beautiful. Now let's put the top back together here. All set with that. Don't forget to clean that screen. Alright, well, let's screw it back together here. Go in there, there's a little cavity that the ribbon cable goes into. So just make sure that goes in all the way. That little piece back in there. Paint doesn't quite match. Looks like they needed to give it another coating there, but that's gonna be good enough. Okay, I decided to do to just put the screen on without actually attaching it. It's not adhered. I didn't peel any of the backing off. I just put it in there to help cover the screen up, and we'll use that. We'll put that on at the very end, because right now I really want to get these buttons back in. I've got them all set up here. I'm going to use the old ones as opposed to the new ones, because I just like the feel of them better. Yeah, they added these little, for some reason, they added another little bit here that's not on the original. Instead of having this go straight across, it goes up. I really don't like that. It doesn't allow this to sit properly. It's getting caught up like this. So if I push it down, it kind of curls in. So I'm going to take care of that real quick. Let's see if that fits better. Yeah, that's a much better fit. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. Now we're going to pop the screen in here. Oh, but before we do, we could finally peel off the protective cover. Lovely. Oops. There we go. You can see the channels and everything here. All right. Make sure everything's aligned properly. Yeah, you can see it there. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Cable back underneath here. It's the motherboard. We're gonna just slide in a little microphone, but just make sure it lines up with the hole over here. And make sure we get all the ribbons. There should be 3 down here and 3 ribbon cables and 1 ribbon cable and the Wi-Fi antenna up there. This button there. Okie dokie. Now we're going to reattach all the ribbons. Everything seems to be in place. Oh, before we move on here, I noticed that on the bottom of these, this one seems to have better shielding. It has an extra little bit there. So I'm going to actually save the old one and replace this one. Let's get the antenna. We will get this antenna plugged in here. And then we would latch this whole thing up. I'm just going to get it going just so you can see. Plastic reinforcement on the back. And then you would latch it back in and you'd be done with this portion, and it would just be a matter of putting the case back together. But I'm not going to do that just yet. All right. So now for the Loopy mod, that the fat part of the ribbon goes into here. So what we're going to do here, unlatch that. There we go. And now I'm working, but you got to remember the fat end here has to go into here and the short end is going to stick out. Also, it has to be, you got to make sure that the connectors, all these gold connectors, are face down. All right, and now we're going to stuff this right into here. Into this board here. So basically we're going to keep it laid down like this, and we're going to roll the cable up into there, or fold it up into there. We'll make sure the little trap door is up. You know, the little trap door is on the back side instead of the front. All right, there we go. Seems to be locked into place pretty nicely. Now you take the original ribbon, there's a little adhesive backer before we go any further right here that you're going to use to lock this into place, or secure it in place. But we're going to leave that for last because you want to make sure it's positioned properly. And now we're going to connect the original ribbon cable into the 3DS capture card. Oh. Okay, got it. A little bit here. There we go. And if we did everything right, that's it. We're gonna leave that button off, and we're just going to test fit it real quick here. Grab the right base part. Oh, before we move on, I do remember that there's a little metal screw that goes into here, a little metal washer. The case replacement comes with a new one, which actually I've learned from experience it's best to use the one that comes with the case if you're going to be using the old screw, or the new screw rather. If you're going to use the new screw, use the new nut. And there you go. Okie dokie. So here's the part where you would put it all back together if you were done. If you hadn't tested it out, or if that was all secured, we'd put it back in. You can see, whoops, and now I have to feed that through. But you know what? We're going to test the connection first. So it turns out, every time I'm putting this together, I thought it was because of the way that this was catching. I mean, that couldn't help. But when I put it together, this little part here, little channel for the shoulder button, is pushing down on the ribbon cable and causing the top screen to disconnect. Yeah, it's just enough. It's just enough in the way that's able to push things around to move that cable. So I'm going to cut it down. Okay, I finally got it. I had to cut away a lot of this, a lot of that extra plastic there, or the plastic there that helped the channel for the button. Cut a lot of that away to get it to stop pushing on the ribbon cables, and now it seems to work. So now here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to peel the back off, put the base back on here, and then hopefully everything will be close enough. Back off here. Well, anyhow, we're going to peel this back off. It would actually align right about here, but I'm going to make sure everything aligns properly by locking it into the base part first here. You can see the lovely mod there. It's a little askew, but that's due to my poor installation technique. Although you can see it's still going to, thing's still going to fit, still going to register in my computer. There you go. There you go, and that's actually right, almost exactly where it needs to be. So we're just going to push down on that a little bit. This part is not designed to be undone. So you got to get it right the first time, because you only get the first time. All right, there you go. It looks like everything's back together. Now we just need to put all the screws back into the system. One thing to note is they used a tri-wing screw for the battery door instead of the default Phillips head screw, which isn't really, I mean, it's fine, I guess, but it's just kind of silly. That was designed so that an end user could swap out the battery. But so be it. So there's a little bit of extra plastic that's supposed to catch the inside of that, but it's just not happening on this one. Alright, now to put on the screen. Wow. Actually got quite a few scratches on this already. Just from working on it. And that's kind of unusual because the official one has far less scratches on it. So I think I'm going to have to reuse that one. That's fine. This is going to be mostly for streaming anyway. We're not really going to be playing this in handheld mode. Finally, at the last step here, I finally got the phone to charge enough. Now, there's a couple spots here for feet. We're going to start some of the less obvious places. There's a rubber foot that goes here and then here on the battery cover. Okay, there's the feet down there. Finally, look at that. Barely moves. Then we have two sets of rubber feet here. Some are popping out here and some are flat. The ones that are a little more three-dimensional, those are going to go up here because that's where, when this closes, that's where they hit. They're going to hit this part of the frame. Whereas the other ones are going to be under here, and this does not ever touch here if it's unless it's broken. There we go. So I'm also going to put on a bottom sticker. Yeah, probably should have put it down a little bit more, but at least it's aligned properly. Alright, beautiful. And then finish it up by putting on the official Nintendo logo. Official. Oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. So there we have it. There's a Nintendo DS Reshell with a Loopy. This one has the benefit of having a Loopy mod here. I filled in the hole with glue. I'm probably going to sand that down and paint it just to make it extra perfect. Alright, thanks for checking me out.